Michael Hayes wasn't just any man. At 36, he ran one of the most powerful hotel groups in the country. His days were filled with private flights, board meetings, and gala dinners. But deep down, he wanted something money couldn't buy, a genuine love story. And he thought he'd found it in Amanda Collins. He met her 2 years ago at a charity auction in Manhattan. Her red dress, warm laugh, and intelligence as she moved between businessmen and artists captivated him instantly. In no time, Amanda became part of his life. Elegant, charismatic, always present. She was the ideal fiancée, or at least, that's what he thought. The wedding was scheduled for 3 months out. A high-profile event in the Hamptons, oceanfront, with a guest list that included politicians, celebrities, and moguls. Everything seemed perfect. However, Michael had been feeling something strange for weeks. Small details, forced gestures, phrases that sounded too rehearsed. Nothing concrete, but enough to disturb his peace. One Friday morning, while having coffee on the terrace of his penthouse in Tribeca, an eccentric idea occurred to him. He remembered how Amanda always complained about the drivers he hired, that they talked too much, didn't play good music, didn't know when to stay quiet. He smiled just thinking about it. What if I become her driver today? He planned everything in silence. He gave Amanda's regular driver a paid day off, rented a simple uniform, put on a cap that covered part of his face and dark sunglasses. He changed his voice, adopted a slight southern accent, and requested a different car, a discreet one. He called himself Mike. The plan was simple. Pick up Amanda and her 2 best friends, Lauren and Rebecca, take them to the shopping center in Soho, then to a wine tasting in Greenwich Village, and if all went well, reveal his identity at the end of the day with a smile and a bouquet of flowers. Something worthy of a romantic comedy. At 11 in the morning, he parked the car in front of Amanda's apartment building. She came out, perfect as always, in a navy blue dress and matching sunglasses. Her friends followed, laughing, talking about how excited they were for the wedding. Amanda opened the back door and got in without looking at him. "You're the new driver?" she asked disdainfully. "Yes, ma'am. Mike, at your service," Michael responded, disguising his voice. The trip began with superficial laughter and comments about hairstyles, shoes, and event preparations. Michael struggled not to tremble. It was strange to hear Amanda speak without filters, not looking at him as Michael, the fiancé, but as just another employee. Everything changed when they were crossing Fifth Avenue. "So, have you told Jason what you're planning?" asked Rebecca with a contained laugh. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. "Of course I did. I told him to hang in there a little longer. As soon as I get married and have a kid, I'll secure alimony for life. That idiot Michael has no clue." "Everything's going exactly as we planned," Amanda responded. Michael gripped the steering wheel hard but didn't say a word. He had to hear more. He had to be sure. "What if he asks for the prenup again?" asked Lauren. "Oh, please. Didn't you see how I pretended to cry? It worked. He bought the whole story, that I felt offended, that I thought he didn't trust me. He fell for it like a little kid. He won't bring it up again." Her friends burst into laughter. Michael swallowed hard. His heart was pounding so hard he feared they'd hear it. How could he have been so blind? And the worst part is that he disgusts me when he touches me. He's so boring, so predictable. But hey, it's worth every second when I think about the Hayes name and everything that comes with it. Michael turned onto the West Side Highway on autopilot. He couldn't think clearly. Everything he'd built, the whole story he believed was sincere, was crumbling to pieces with every word. "What if he figures it out?" asked Lauren, more serious. "Michael, you think so? That man lives in a bubble. I cook for him, smile at him, make him believe I like jazz. I even took golf lessons, all for the precious inheritance. He has no idea who I really am." The silence inside the car became heavy. Michael took a deep breath. He was trapped. He couldn't stop the car and yell at them. He couldn't react. He had to keep pretending. The friends soon changed the subject, talking about the spa they'd go to next week. Amanda mentioned a super expensive facial treatment that Michael would pay for without knowing. "And Jason," she whispered, as if it were a delicious secret. "He's something else. Doesn't have a dime, but in bed, wow." All three burst into laughter, while Michael kept his eyes forward, holding back vomit, tears, rage. They arrived at the wine tasting normally. Amanda didn't even thank the driver. She just said, "Pick us up at 5. Michael nodded without looking at her. When he was alone in the car, he took off his glasses and rested his forehead on the steering wheel. Never in his life had he felt such acute, such deep pain. It wasn't just the betrayal, tearing, it was the humiliation. He'd been used, deceived, loved only for his bank account. But instead of exploding, his mind began moving in another direction. This wasn't just about ending the relationship. This was planned betrayal. Calculated. He needed answers, proof, a plan. Michael Hayes wasn't an ordinary man, and now he wasn't the same man he'd been this morning either. The afternoon was falling over the city as Michael drove back to Amanda's apartment. Outside, the sun was beginning to tint the buildings of Tribeca orange, but inside the car everything was shadow. A silence loaded with thoughts that echoed in his head like a maddening refrain. The voices of Amanda and her friends still danced in his mind, like blades cutting every corner of his dignity. There was no way to forget those words. He couldn't stop seeing the scene. Amanda laughing, mocking him, calling him boring and an idiot, talking about strategic pregnancies and secret lovers with the naturalness of someone discussing the weather. But still, Michael maintained the mask. At 5 o'clock sharp, he returned to the agreed location. Amanda got in first, followed by Lauren and Rebecca. They were happy, half-drunk, talking about wines, selfies, and a new dress Amanda would buy for the civil ceremony. "Everything okay, Mike?" asked Amanda in a mocking tone. Michael nodded without saying a word. He didn't trust his voice. During the drive back, the laughter continued. Amanda mentioned Jason again, this time describing his gym body and his 20-something energy. Rebecca joked that Michael must be taking origami classes, while Jason practiced other handiwork. Michael just listened, learned. Each phrase was another piece in the puzzle he was now determined to solve. Upon arriving at the apartment, Amanda got out without looking at him. She told him it wasn't necessary to wait, that surely he had things to do. Michael responded with a slight nod, started the car, and drove away. That night, at his home, he could no longer contain himself. He locked himself in his study, turned off the lights, and collapsed on the sofa. Tears came out without permission, without resistance. They weren't just tears of pain. They were of betrayal, of humiliation, of contained rage. He'd given his life to a farce. And the worst part, he'd been about to seal that deception with an "I do." But he wouldn't be a martyr. He wouldn't be another fool who cried in silence and moved forward as if nothing happened. Michael wasn't that kind of man. If Amanda had played him, he'd play better. The next day at 8 o'clock in the morning, he dialed a number he hadn't used in years. "David Miller?" he asked with a firm voice. "Michael, it's been a while since I've heard from you. Everything okay?" "I need your help, and it has to be confidential." David had been his personal attorney since he began his career, a methodical, discreet, and loyal man. In less than 2 hours, they were meeting in a private room at the Hayes family's flagship hotel on Park Avenue. Michael told him everything, from the disguise to the complete conversation. David listened in silence without interrupting. He took notes in a leather notebook, as he always did. "We need proof, videos, audios, messages, everything you can get, but no one can find out. Not her, not her circle. Especially not Jason," David said in a professional tone. Michael nodded. He was determined. They installed microphones in Amanda's apartment with the help of the hotel's security team under the pretext of electrical system renovation. Hidden cameras were also placed in the SUV Michael had given her, in her gym bag, and in a decorative vase in her living room. During the following 2 weeks, Michael pretended to be the perfect fiancé. Breakfast together, wedding plans, dinners with her parents. Amanda, oblivious to the truth, was sweeter than ever. She hugged him tightly, told him how much she loved him, and even suggested doing a romantic photo session at the Hamptons Hotel. Michael smiled. He said yes to everything, but inside, he was no longer the same man. Meanwhile, David and his team began building the file. Recordings of Amanda talking on the phone with Jason, telling him that Michael is an idiot who already fell for it. Text messages where they planned secret getaways, photos of both of them entering a hotel in Chelsea together. Jason was a young lawyer with no future but dangerous charm. He'd studied at a mediocre law school and worked at a second-rate firm. However, his charisma made him seem like more. Michael had seen him once at a party, but never imagined he was that Jason. The conversations between Amanda and her friends also became increasingly explicit. They talked about the perfect play, about how Amanda would get pregnant before signing any legal papers, and how afterward they'd separate on good terms to avoid raising suspicions. "I'm going to have a Hayes kid. You think I'll need anything else after that?" Amanda said in one of the recordings, laughing while toasting with Lauren. Michael listened to each file with a churning stomach. But he didn't let hatred consume him. He had a plan, and it wasn't time to execute it yet. He even attended a family dinner at his parents' house, with Amanda by his side, smiling, talking about flowers, menus, and music for the first dance. No one, absolutely no one, suspected what was happening behind that fairy tale facade. One night, David handed him a black folder. "Here you have everything. Recordings, photos, testimonies, messages. We even tracked Jason's number and have him located. There's no way she can deny it." Michael took the folder with steady hands. It wasn't just revenge, it was justice. "And what comes next?" David asked. Michael looked at the horizon, through the window of his office. The city kept vibrating, oblivious to the coming storm. "Now we confront her, but it'll be in private, just her and me." A pause, a dense silence. "I want to watch her fall, but with elegance." The black dossier David handed him weighed more than a brick, not because of its volume, but because of its content. Michael kept it closed for hours on his desk. He didn't need to open it to know what it contained. He'd already heard it, already seen it. But there was something inside him that still resisted. Not the fact, but the ending, the inevitable collapse of what he once believed was love. Finally, when night covered the city and silence was total in his penthouse, he opened it. There were photos of Amanda entering a boutique hotel with Jason in broad daylight, printed text messages, where Amanda called him "my favorite investor" and "my ATM" with a last name, audio recordings where she said she couldn't wait to close the deal with a pregnancy. But what really made him nauseous was a conversation between Amanda and Rebecca, one of her friends. "Remember that tech startup you got your hands into?" Amanda asked. "Of course. That idiot George almost caught me. But no worries. Michael has investment there. If anything happens, he'll cover for us. Well, use it while you can, because once I get pregnant, everything falls into place." Michael closed his eyes. The company they were talking about was one of his favorite startups, one he supported out of personal conviction. And now it turned out that Rebecca, part of the board, had embezzled funds under the pretense of being close to investors. Lauren, the other friend, wasn't clean either. She had debts everywhere, credit cards, loans, even problems with a finance company that had already sent her legal notifications. Amanda had intervened several times to get Michael to help her with supposed creative projects. Everything was a web woven with precision and dishonesty. The deception wasn't just emotional. It was structured, calculated, and it had deeper roots than Michael imagined. During the following days, he continued acting as the perfect fiancé. He invited Amanda to dinner at the most exclusive restaurant in the city. He brought flowers to her workplace. He told her he wanted to move up the civil ceremony. Amanda fell completely for his game, happy, in love with her own lie. Michael, meanwhile, was preparing. "The confrontation has to be surgical," he told David. "Precise. No scandals. Just her and me." "And what will you do after?" the lawyer asked. Michael thought for a moment. "I'll close this chapter, but my way." Thursday afternoon, he summoned her to his penthouse. He told her he had a surprise for her, something special, something intimate. Amanda arrived dressed for the occasion, in a beige dress, impeccable makeup, and a smile that didn't belong to her. "So?" she asked, entering the apartment, looking around. Michael offered her a glass of wine. He didn't say much. He walked to the center of the living room and turned on the projector he used for business presentations. "What are you doing?" Amanda laughed, somewhat nervous. "Is it a video of our story?" Michael pressed play. The audio began with his voice, disguised as Mike, greeting Amanda that day of the outing. Then came Lauren's laughter, the cruel comments, the alimony plans, the mockery of the prenuptial agreement. Amanda froze. "What is this?" Michael didn't respond. He just advanced to the next file, a video recorded from her apartment's living room, where Amanda was talking with Jason on video call. "It's almost done, baby. As soon as he falls asleep, I'll take care of it. Just need you to hold on a little longer." Amanda's hands began to tremble. "Michael, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you lied from day one. How you faked every emotion, every word, every gesture." "It's not like that." Michael raised an eyebrow without losing his composure. "It's not like that?" He pulled out a leather folder and extended it to her. "Here are your messages, your photos, your calls, your confessions. Everything is documented. Your friends too. One is a thief. The other is in debt up to her neck, and you used her as a bridge to extort me." Amanda opened the folder with trembling hands. The images were clear, the conversations printed. There was no escape. "Listen to me, please. I did care about you. Maybe at first it was out of interest, but later—" Michael laughed for the first time in weeks, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "Later what? After you secured the last name? After you saw me as an investment?" Amanda approached. She tried to touch his hand. Michael took a step back. "You have no power here anymore, Amanda. The wedding is cancelled. Today. Now. Forever." "Are you going to leave me with nothing?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Exactly as you arrived." She fell to her knees. For a second, the mask fell. She was no longer the elegant, calculating woman. She was just someone desperate, lost, terrified. Michael took a deep breath. He felt empty, but liberated. "And one piece of advice," he added. "Don't try to clean up your image. If you dare move a single finger, I have everything necessary to destroy you publicly. But I won't. Not for you. For me." She looked at him with eyes full of tears. "Did you ever love me?" Michael didn't respond. He just stared at her. "Goodbye, Amanda." She left stumbling as if she'd aged 10 years in 5 minutes. Michael closed the door softly. He didn't feel relief, not sadness either. He felt truth, and for the first time, freedom. For weeks, Michael Hayes stayed away from the noise. He turned off his cell phone, cancelled interviews, paused meetings, and temporarily handed over operational management of his hotels to his trusted team. He wasn't running from the world. He was returning to himself. The penthouse, formerly a symbol of status and success, transformed into a sanctuary of introspection. He resumed photography, dusted off his old wooden guitar, the one he hadn't played since college, and started reading poetry again at night. He accepted that pain couldn't be erased with luxury or revenge, but it could be faced with honesty. For the first time in years, Michael started therapy, not to understand Amanda, but to understand himself, to recognize how he let himself be wrapped up in a story that was never real. He learned to be alone without feeling empty, to look at his reflection without shame, to breathe without feeling watched by the expectations of the Hayes name. He spent weekends with his true friends: Sam, his childhood companion who never asked him for financial favors; Victoria, his photographer friend who hugged him without asking questions; and Claire, his cousin and partner in laughter, who told him without filters when something or someone wasn't good for him. And it was on one of those weekends where fate decided to act with discretion. He'd attended a charity event organized by an educational foundation in Brooklyn. The focus was supporting underfunded public schools. Michael arrived without drawing attention, in jeans, white t-shirt and sunglasses. There were no cameras, no protocols, just kids running around, teachers preparing activities, and an honest vibe he hadn't felt in a long time. Among the book stands and donation tables, he saw her, Sophie. A woman with light brown hair pulled back in a simple braid, cotton blouse and worn jeans. She was helping a child write his name on a poster board. She laughed with him, with her eyes, with her whole body. Michael stood watching her for a moment, unable to help but smile. "Do you want to participate in the workshop, or are you just going to watch?" she asked, noticing his presence. Michael laughed. "Depends. Do you accept adults with no artistic skills?" "As long as they don't mock children's art, yes," she responded with a genuine smile. That's how it began. Without adornment, without pretensions. They spent the afternoon between laughs, paints, and simple words. Sophie didn't ask him what he did for a living, or where he lived, or why he'd come alone. She only asked him what his favorite color was. Michael couldn't remember the last time a conversation had seemed so light, so free. That night he looked her up on social media. He found nothing beyond a basic profile from a public elementary school in New Jersey. Grade teacher, 0 followers, 0 filters, 0 masks. He decided to see her again. And so, without planning it, they started going out. Quiet cafes in Lower Manhattan, walks through Prospect Park, shared books, music they discovered together. Michael omitted his last name, not out of shame, but because he didn't want this new story to be born contaminated. With Sophie, he felt different. He didn't need to impress. He didn't have to pay for million-dollar dinners or dress like a businessman. With her, silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was peace. A month later, during a walk through the West Village, everything changed. They were sitting on a bench eating hot pretzels when a couple of tourists recognized him. They asked for a photo and began talking excitedly about the Hayes hotel chain. Sophie remained silent. Michael tried to explain. He told her the truth, everything, his full name, his family, his company, his past. He even told her about Amanda, not to get pity, but to not start another story based on lies. Sophie didn't react with admiration or reproach. She looked at him intently for a few seconds and then said, "I'm going to ask you something, Michael. Give me time, not because of you, but because of me." "Did I scare you?" he asked, his voice low. "No, but I don't want to treat you differently because of what you have. I want to know if I can see you the same way, even knowing all that." Michael fell silent. He wasn't used to that response. Most people changed their attitude when they found out who he was. But Sophie didn't want a place in his world. She wanted to understand if she could share it without losing hers. Days later, she wrote him a message. "I still don't understand why you trusted me without knowing if I could handle it, but thank you for doing it. And yes, I want to keep getting to know you, but without cameras, without hotels, just you and me, real version." Michael smiled. For the first time in a long time, his smile wasn't a facade. He understood then that love isn't built in the spotlight or among luxuries. That true love is simple, but not simplistic. That it's born in the most unexpected places, with the least expected people. And that sometimes to find it you have to become invisible. And it was in that anonymity, among books, cobblestone streets, and old desks, where Michael Hayes found what he'd always been looking for. Someone who saw him, even when no one else did.